You're welcome to the Policy Council. My name is Okwemi Agbaje. Today we look at poverty, but not from the lamenting end of poverty statistics in Nigeria, but we look at what you can do about it, and it from the perspective of microfinance. I speak with one of the leaders in the sector, in the Nigerian microfinance industry, and we review the phenomenon of poverty, the microfinance proposition, and how it's affecting poverty and can affect poverty in Nigeria. Enjoy the program. You're welcome back to the Policy Council. Today I'm talking to a friend of mine, but more importantly, the CEO of Action Microfinance Bank. She used to be executive director at Faith Foundation. She's a chartered accountant. She's worked in different companies across sectors, insurance, marketing, and many other sectors. And she's an alumni of the Lagos Business School. We share that in common as well. My guest is Mrs. Bumi Lawson. You're welcome to the Policy Council.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. So let me start, Bumi, with the concept of microfinance. Many people wonder what it is. So just give us a brief overview into what microfinance is, what's the rationale behind the industry, and I know it seeks to address poverty, and the question whether it really can, whether you can address poverty through lending.
Yes, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Microfinance is the provision of financial services to people at the bottom of the pyramid, people with low income. If you look at historically in Nigeria and even elsewhere, what normally happens is that low-income persons are financially excluded. That means they don't have access to a bank account. And so what we do in microfinance is to ensure that they have access to financial services. Low-income persons can open a bank account, they can save money, borrow, do insurance, so that they too can partake in economic growth. You know, most times when there's economic growth, what happens is that people at the bottom of the pyramid do not have access to capital. So therefore, the economy continues to grow, but people at the bottom of the pyramid, they get worse because they don't have capital to invest, to grow their business, to increase their income. Microfinance seeks to address that, and it's been successful all over the world.
So far in Nigeria, would you say it's been successful?
Well, it's in the infancy stages. Okay. Currently, we have 832 microfinance banks across Nigeria. 5 years ago, 2005, was when CBN came up with the regulatory framework for microfinance. So, but we've seen institutions grow. Currently, we have 4 national microfinance banks, 73 state microfinance banks, and we are providing.
Action is national.
No, we are not. We are states,
okay.
But we are we're still top 5 in terms of size, loan portfolio. So we have, provided services, and we've seen people's income increase. They've started to grow their businesses. They too are now benefiting from economic growth. But there's still a lot to do, because if you look at the population of Nigeria, the number of people who are living in poverty is really high. I estimate that you need over 1 trillion naira to be able to provide 100,000 naira to all the people that are low income that would require loans. So that's so that's something that we still are far from.
I mean, the underlying issue of poverty in Nigeria is, I'm familiar with the data and the statistics on that. And essentially, no matter how you look at it, 100 million Nigerians or somewhere close to that are living in poverty.
And have been so for
some
a long time.
Between 60 and 70% of Nigerians. If you look at the data on unemployment, it's the same thing. About almost 30% of Nigerians, almost 40% of youth are unemployed. So what, in your view, because we probably have to understand the phenomenon of poverty before we can cure it. What do you think is the cause, is driving poverty in Nigeria? Yeah,
there's a number of things. Paul Collier wrote a book, The Bottom Billion, and was trying to address what causes poverty. Bad governance, decisions, policies. You also did a program that talked about why Nigerians are poor, and what kinds of jobs are we creating? people sometimes think, oh, poor people may be lazy and so on, but they work hard. You know, my former boss, one former boss of mine used to say, the person carrying load at Oyinbo Market works harder than you sitting in the office, but he's poor. Maybe you are well-to-do. You know, so poverty is not only just that people don't work hard, is that the economic environment is not conducive for everybody to be able to have income. So partake in the economic growth. So for instance, no access in so many ways: access to electricity, infrastructure, access to financial services, access to education. They have limited access, and that's what keeps them perpetually in poverty. And unfortunately, that's what happens in Nigeria, yes. And you know, unfortunately, again, I want to talk about the killings up north. Once there's an increase in poverty, you will find that there will be continuous, violence, conflicts. Exactly. It's been analyzed all over the world. Not only just, it's not just a Nigerian phenomenon. It's something that where you see increased poverty, there will be unrest because you continue to see the rich, and then people are in poverty. There will be conflicts.
Especially when the poverty is accompanied with illiteracy.
Yes, exactly. Lack of access to education too. Yeah.
Let's take a short time out. I'm talking to Bumi Lawson, MD CEO, Axion Microfinance Bank. We'll be right back.
My name is Laide Awoyemi. I live for Lagos. You see, as our new Lagos just defined the good. Good thing, good though. To go market now, no hard at all. Just pay. Sit down inside BRT bus. Small time, you don't reach where they go. Hospital call, the full ground. For me and my pikin where I just born, treatment now. You look left, you look right. Them they build new roads, new hospitals, new schools, new things everywhere. Everywhere they shine, gone. We thank God though. But come on, I hear saying that this tax money will they pay. And then they used to do all these good things. Yeah, they pay my own tax too. They pay you.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council. I'm still speaking with Bumi Lawson, CEO of Axion Microfinance Bank. What does Axion mean?
Yeah, it's a Spanish word for actually action. Okay. You know, take action against poverty. So it means.
Tell me about the ownership structure, the mission of Axion.
Yeah, we started operations in Nigeria in 2007. And we were formed actually first by the initiative of IFC, which is a subsidiary of the World Bank, who invited Axion, who's been practicing microfinance all over the world for almost more than 50 years now. Axion International operates in 32 countries. They've set up and established over 40 microfinance institutions all over the world. And so Nigeria was really an attractive market given the high rates of poverty, the fact that we've been having sustained economic growth, but yet poverty persists. So they now came into Nigeria, did a feasibility study, and invited 3 other commercial banks to join with us. And we have EcoBank, Citibank, and Zenith Bank. That are the 3 commercial banks. And we also got a venture capital firm, SME funds. Now African, African Alliance. I invested. You know, so that's how we started operations in Lagos. And, you know, we've actually been able to grow that. We started, I remember, with 8 staff around our table, 1 branch. Our first branch started embedded within EcoBank. And now we have 21 branches across Lagos State. We've disbursed over 23 billion naira in loans. We've had only 1% of that written off since inception in 5 years. So we found Nigerians to actually be enterprising, grow their businesses, repay the loans, provided, you know, you continue to promise them that they will have increased loan and they see the performance, and you to treat them in a transparent, honest, sustainable manner. You've been able to grow the business. So our own belief is that financial access is one of the key tools to bring people out of poverty. It's not only the tool, but it is very important because the thing I would say is, like, give an example, like let's say we are expanding and building up Lekki. Even if you're a small micro business and you want to open a restaurant to all the workers, you need capital to be able to do that. You need to be able to have somewhere to go and borrow, and then you now set up that business. And the kind of businesses that we fund are those that result in transformation. And the example I give is where you have a carpenter, maybe he's making a table with a saw. So he can maybe only make 10 tables in 10 days. When he comes to us to borrow money, we now give him an electrical saw. He can also employ somebody else. So instead of making 1 table a day, he's now able to make that 10 tables in 1 day. So his business has really transformed. And that's what we've been able to do. The World Bank also did a study, actually, about 3 years after we started, and found that on average, people have increased their income by 20%.
The those people who are borrowed
from us. And we have seen people who started off with 100,000 Naira loan and are currently now assessing 3 million Naira in loans. They've opened more than 1 shop, you know. So it's, to me, it's always so inspirational when I see people who are in poverty and have accessed these loans, behave well, grown their businesses, send their children to school, are able to access medical facilities. It's transformational.
Excellent. And it's interesting you mentioned that your loan loss ratio has been 1%.
Yeah.
That's better than most commercial banks.
Yes, it is. We do measure ours in a stricter way. So, for instance, we start to count portfolio at risk from 1 day. So the bank starts with 1 day. So currently our 1 day par is 15%. That means only 15% of our clients who don't pay on the day their loan is due. 30 days goes down to 4%. So, and of course, as I told you, write-offs has been less than 1%. Over a 5-year period.
So this is sustainable.
It is sustainable.
It's not charity.
Yes, we make, but it's not charity. We do not believe in charity as well. We don't feel that people who live in poverty need a handout. They need to be able to see. When you give handouts, I ask people, okay, if you have a loan, it's free, and you have one that is 10% per month, say, as an example, which one would you repay first? You will repay the 10% because, okay, you say, okay, I'll come back with the 10. And government consistently comes in with subsidized loans and all of that to the general public sector, which should not be, because people will see it as a national cake they won't repay. And we've persistently had failures in that. And
we foster dependency.
Exactly. So we give you your loan at a market rates, you repay it, you make sure that, of course, in your business, we ensure that you're not over indebted and your business grows.
Great stuff. I'm talking to Bumi Lawson. We're having this interesting conversation about microfinance, about what it can do with poverty, and about Axion Microfinance and what they've done so far in the microfinance sector. We'll be right back.
Who knows a bit better thing? Abi who know like better thing? All these fine things where they see so. Now money government they take do now. Abi, I saying it's like, you know, I mean, excuse me, I did pay my tax. I did do it thing, I did pay my tax. Say you don't pay your own tax. If you pay your tax, I pay oh.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council. My name is still Okweme Agbaje. My guest is Mrs. Bumi Lawson, and she's still the CEO of Axion Microfinance Bank. And Bumi, you were talking about this excellent story of people who borrowed, who've been transformed, carpenter. Can you give us some examples of that kind of transformation that you've witnessed in Axion? You know,
our typical client is actually a woman, usually aged between 25 to 35. Although we give more, we give people from 18 to 65 years old. So, but that's a typical woman. She has a shop in Okeari. It could be a tailoring outfit. You know, those are our typical clients. Now, the one thing I would say that is common to most of them is that they actually want to improve their lives. You know, most times what we do when we try to evaluate who to give loans to, because we don't ask for collateral, we go in there are 2 things we look for. You know, the character of the individual is key to us, and then the second thing is your capacity to repay. So that really looks at the business, the typical financial things. But the willingness to repay is about the character of the person. So we go to their houses, we see that They are usually in some leadership role. They have paid their bills. They are, well known within their community. They want to improve their lives. They have children who are dependent on them. So they family life is important. They have a business that they understand fully well. We don't fund startups. You have to already have been in business for a year. So you are keen to grow that business bigger. You see the potential. You understand the market very well. We don't ask for business plans and all of those things because it's basically the informal sector. So you walk in, a loan officer comes to talk to you, comes to your business, see who your suppliers are. You are not owing them. You are, people can vouch for you. We ask for 2 guarantors who could be people within your market. It doesn't have to be a rich man or anything. So once those people are ready to vouch for you, then we believe that your character. So it's people with a positive mindset, not people who are saying, oh, government didn't do that, things are bad, and they don't do anything. They are, even within those constraints, they are willing to work hard, grow their business, and they are the most successful. They are diligent in repaying. In fact, some of them will say, come, your money is due, come and collect it, before even the time of repayment. Those are the people that
I find it interesting that you say your clients are typically female.
Yes, typically female.
How about the men? 65%?
Yes, 65%.
How about the men?
The men to work.
They drink more.
We always believe that if you fund the woman, you fund the whole family.
The family,
the children will benefit the home, even the husband to benefit. So, but yes, we find that there was a time we actually did an analysis to see who are those who are repaying better or growing their business, and we couldn't find any trend to say men are bad or but one recent statistics was that married men actually seem to be paying worse than any other category in our data set, and that may just because they have more responsibility. I don't think it's because they are careless or anything. So it's better to be a bachelor or a woman. Well, in that regard, because you have limited other liabilities, I think, than so you will be able to have more time for your business. You're facing that, so I think that's it. Yeah,
interesting. So this is as a byproduct of what you're doing, you're actually doing women empowerment.
Yes. I mean, in some of the customer forums we have, women come up, to talk, give testimony, to say what's happened to them. They say, they are now somebody in their family. They are able to contribute to what's going on in the family. And they're not even talking just about their husbands, but in the larger community, the larger extended family, they're able to, be a person. So for me, people sometimes, especially the educated folks, always talk about interest rates. Why shouldn't it be free? That, honestly, when we ask our clients to rank in order of priority 15 attributes, interest rates, the pricing came 13th.
Wow.
The most important was that they had access. Their business was growing. It was a size that they can repay. The repayment is within how they earn money. So that hasn't been a major issue, but growing their business, that diligence, it's really, and men too. There was a man who came up and, sometimes when we have those questions, it's so moving, and said, thank you for making me somebody. It's such a deep expression of appreciation.
Excellent, great stuff. I'm talking to Bumi Lawson and I'm enjoying this conversation about microfinance, and we'll take a short time out and come back for our final segment.
Going to school there and say like me because I can cross the highway. I use healthy fast. I enjoy looking at them. Tell me. I get government. I am happy. Mom and Dad say all these are happening. Their taxes. I hope to pay my taxes. Have you paid your tax?
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. It's the Policy Council. I'm talking to Bumi Lawson. She's the CEO of Axion Microfinance Bank. She used to be Executive Director at Faith Foundation. We'll talk about that briefly. She's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and she's worked across sectors before coming into microfinance. Bumi, let's talk about Faith Foundation, because I'm sure what you did in Faith probably prepared you a bit for Axion. What was the experience at Faith Foundation?
Yeah, Faith Foundation was an organization that was set up to provide business advisory services to small businesses. Nigerian youths who come out of university can't get a job. We mandate them to create your own job, and we teach them how to do that. Of course, it was the idea of Fola Adiola. And we were able to train a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurs who graduated from the program. And as we were doing that, one of the key constraints that we found was that they wanted access to funding. So we did, with the support of Ford Foundation, get a small grant to provide micro loans to. Okay, so you were doing micro lending. So yes, in a very small scale. So it was around that time that Axion actually came and was doing the feasibility study. And of course, that interested me first from my background from finance. You know, I've always thought about the power of finance in growing small businesses. So that's what really attracted me to go into Axion. And yes, and so Faith Foundation was a very strong, you know, learning ground, and being able to train, now I hear, over 10,000 entrepreneurs. To the Nigerian market.
So let's talk about the outlook for Axion. Where are you going? Where do you see? What are your plans over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, we have very aggressive growth plans. We want to expand outside Lagos. We currently are focused on making sure we have a branch in every local government in Lagos State. After that, we want to cover Nigeria. And so we are looking at mobile money, you know, agency banking, because brick and mortar alone cannot give us that scale. There's so many people across Nigeria who need our services, and so we want to expand. So really look at how we can use technology, innovation, you know, to provide financial services to people at the bottom of the pyramid. We want to champion the cause for financial inclusion, and we feel that if we do that, we will certainly be able to address poverty significantly, so that over time you will start to see reductions in the number of people in poverty. If we continue to sustain the economic growth, the key issue now is how do we make sure it goes down that pyramid. It's not only people at the top. That's our own mission.
I don't know if I don't think this is a fair question for you, but I'll ask it all the same. Because for me, there's a strong correlation between poverty and education. So if a large number of our population are excluded from education, they are automatically destined to be poor. So beyond what you can do, you can only address the financial aspects of it, but do you see the need for some advocacy around education, women empowerment, and those are cultural issues, especially in the northern parts of Nigeria, where those are real issues and where the poverty statistics are highest?
I believe that financial inclusion is a start. As I said, most of the clients who we've provided funding for, what they've done is to now send their children to school, so that the next generation clearly are excluded from poverty. And in fact, what you will find is that some of those people they send to school come back as graduates and take that business to really the next level. So you see education and the impact of that business really just scaling up. So that's what I feel financial inclusion does. When you have money, you send your children to better school. Education is key. For us, our CSR program is really on education. We supply them educational materials to public schools. That's what we do in Lagos State. So because we know that our slogan is "My future is bright." So the future is really your children and making sure that they're educated. So if the parents have adequate income, they will be able to spend it on the children, they will have good education, and truly they will nobody in their generation hopefully will be in poverty again. So that really eradicates poverty in those people's lives. So that's education is key. We certainly will see that.
Excellent stuff, Bumi. Thank you very much for the work you're doing and for what contribution you've made and for coming on the Policy Council.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back. That was a very inspiring discussion The statistics around poverty in Nigeria are clear, and we've spoken about those on this program many times. It's huge. It's a big problem. About 100 million Nigerians. We have to address it from many perspectives. From the perspective of education, skills acquisition, government policies, and clearly from the financial sector, from financial inclusion. Microfinance has been proven internationally to be a factor that can redress poverty, that can help people get financial access to improve their position. It builds on their self-confidence, builds on their self-esteem, and as my guest said, helps make them somebody. I encourage every Nigerian who thinks he has some useful enterprise in his hands to consider the discipline of microfinance. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.